So, Mad Max says best voices are Pop, Cube, LL voices. I prefer Pop,
No,
Chef G, and DMX slash Pop Smoke. Method Man has the best flow though. I don't think Big's voice is. I don't like Big's voice like that. Huh? I think Big
you
had
like
an
Neff's
incredible.
voice, but you don't like Big's voice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you can like one and not like the other, really, because it does comparable things for me. It's that kind of like molasses over the track type of voice. It's like thick and heavy and rhythmic, but I guess
I,
that's fascinating. That's fascinating that you would separate the two. Like usually, people who love Method Man's voice love Biggie's voice too. But
I think they both got great flows. I think Method Man's flow is a little bit better. You know what's funny? We were just celebrating Liquid Swords, and I found this quotable up there. Speaking of Method Man, you see that on the screen?
I don't need to. It's probably I breaks it down to the bone gristle, ill
That's
speaking, scud missile, heat seeking,
yep.
Ronnie blazing, hip hop quotable, shadow boxing,
Yeah,
night moves like Wes
not
Craven, niggas gunning, my third eye seen it coming before it happened. You know about them fucking statin kids, they smashing everything, huh? In every shape, form, of fashion. Everybody talking about they flashing.
hmm.
Is you busting still is you flashing? Hmm.
Talking
Yeah,
out your
that's
asshole.
like delivery wise, that's some of the best shit ever.
You should have learned about the flow in PC Afro, Italian Stallion, Chinky Eyes, Snot Nose. From my naps, put a bunion on my big toe. I keeps it moving. Know just what the fuck I'm doing. Rap insomniac. Need to catch a nigga snoozing. Slip the cardiac, arrest me. Exorcist, hip hop possess me. Crunch a nigga like a Nestle. You know my steez. Burning to a third degree. Sneaky ass, alley cat, top pedigree. The head toucher. Industry party bum rush. Yo. Yo. I mean, is that more lyricism, flow, or voice, or what? Like,
It's everything,
it's
Mike. It's
everything.
also you want to know what this is what I mean.
That's the verse that made me want to be a rapper, to be real.
That's the first verse that I ever wrote down, Mike, because his delivery was so crazy. I couldn't figure out like what he was doing. But what I'll tell you is that one of the sneaky things about that verse is word usage, like the words he chose to use, and placement of the words. I
Meth
breaks
has
it down.
always been high on that, to me.
Right. Well, I think this is where you saw him like go other stratosphere with it, where you can tell he had been rapping at a high level for a while because I breaks it down to the bone gristle. Like first of all, like rap niggas wasn't talking like that in 1995. You understand? And then this is what I'm saying. He goes gristle, ill speaking, scud missile, heat sinking. Like he's just shit. Mike, it's like watching an ice skater like in their prime, just like go around the rink, like float. Like that's what it is. He's like, yeah, I got it.
You
It's
know,
like
you're
when you
right.
watch somebody like when they get it and they got it and it's good. That's what shadow boxing is. It's like he got it. That's his flow at its zenith.
I was gonna say, man. I was in a duo, and my
A
partner in
whole
rhyme.
song after a bar in there, Mike by Gangstar. Think about how dope that verse is.
Yeah,
You know my steez.
I was in a duo, and my partner in rhyme, flawless man. He made the statement one time when he was like, at the peak of his talents. He was like, I'm like where Meth was on like Shadowbox, and like you feel that that's a comfortable level at his. Like he could do anything at that point.
Mike, it's the fact that he had a whole nother flow on the third verse too. It's like he totally switched his flow up. The way he's rapping on the first verse of
Yeah,
Shadowboxing is, and now he's rapping on the third verse. That's what I mean.
the
He's like he's
mind started clicking. He just in a zone.
strategy is mastered, the plot thicken. This be that woo shit. I
I
don't
don't
give
give
a
a
cotton
cop
picking.
picking.
Fuck about a nigga trying to size a nigga up. I hold my own hard
Lord,
hat
heavy
protected.
protected zone.
Oh, he's crazy. He's everywhere.
Look at
Literary
mama, baby
devices are
boy
high.
acting like he
Voice
grown.
delivery, word places, usage. It's like it's like that song lyrically, like those three verses. That's some of rap's best stuff. Because think about it, it's like nobody talks about the jizzle on there. The
His
jizzle
verse
on
is
there is
crazy.
stellar,
I slayed MCs
stellar
back
on
in the
there.
rec room era. Whew. Ray
Stop
Rams
those
with the super
motherfucking
chat.
backs like Hen for Terra. Mike Hen for Terra.
Yeah.
That's old school wrestling shit.
Most rap niggas came loud, but I'm heard.
So fold out, round them off
To
to
the
the nearest
nearest
third. Now we're
third.
doing mathematics on the beat.
Check these non-visual niggas with tapes in a portrait.
But the
Jeez.
seminar trying to orbit this corporate industry. What the niggas can't see must break through like the woo unexpectedly. You know what he's talking about? He's talking about them being slighted for being grimy.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about that on Protect Your Neck too. Talking about, hold on, who's your A&R? A mountain climber who plays an electric guitar, but he don't know the meaning of dope when he's looking for a suit and tie rap that's cleaner than a bar of soap. I'm the dirtiest thing in sight. Matter of fact, bring out the girls and let's have a mud fight. Like, he's like, he's bigging up how grimy the crew was and how they were breaking the mold, because that's when rap had cleaned itself up a little bit. A lot of niggas looking, yeah.
Well, speaking of which, today is the day, right? Today is the day that 36 Chambers dropped 29 years ago, and Midnight Marauders dropped that same day. So
I think we should flesh into our versus battle and our greatest albums conversation, because
talk about that. Yeah.
I have both of those albums penciled down, coincidentally enough.
Okay, well, let me go through this super chat and then we'll get to that. And then we'll, we really in it today. Ray Realm says, speaking about the business of hip hop, what are you guys' thoughts on Math Hoffa's situation? The Math Hoffa situation. I'm not too familiar with the situation. What's going on over there?
Well, supposedly, Math Hoffa has been given a $3 million deal. Supposedly, to be exact, because Joe Budden called Hoffa live from Joe Budden's podcast, and I watched some of it. And just from what I gathered from that, it appears that $2.7 million was on the table, but the podcast is dissolved, Mike, because apparently guys have not been in contact with each other, according to Hoffa. And according to Hoffa, when deals have been getting brought to the table, he's been including the team, but he's also mentioned that the team is off doing other things in their own shows and podcasts now. And so it's the, I don't know which side it resides on. I'm just telling you what I heard from watching Budden's podcast. It's the typical rhetoric when things fall apart, to be honest with you, Mike. The plug and I talked earlier today about how Rory and Mal and Budden fell out behind the scenes. And to be honest with you, Mike, it's always over money and miscommunication, to be honest with you. And it appears to be another issue of money and miscommunication. And here's what I mean about money. It all usually traces back to money, because it's like Hoffa referenced that he hadn't heard from guys. You know what I'm saying? Because guys were off doing their own thing. And that's what happens when it's like, where money is on the table for other people to do other things. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, well, they kind of got out of track with home base, is pretty much what it seems like Hoffa is saying. But I haven't heard what the other guys have had to say either. I just heard what Hoffa said on Budden's podcast.
I'm going to look into it. I didn't even know all this was going on.
And he still it was tossing the 2.6 or 7 around like it was supposedly, you know what I'm saying? But this all comes back to the fact that it's like, oh, well, people probably heard about the bag, felt like they deserved some of the bag. And when he did, I don't know how it unfolds, but usually when something like this happens, it's usually a miscommunication, and it's usually about money. And both of those things are usually intertwined, and this situation looks no different.
Well, it's interesting that he talked to Joe, because from what you're saying, it sounds like Joe's been through something similar.
I can neither confirm nor deny those things, but Hoffa definitely picked up when Joe called, and Joe definitely told him that he was live.
Yeah. CJ Kidd says, this Coop smashing the plug spew is disrespectful, guys.
Yeah, we already covered that. Yeah.
Let's see. Let me get some of these other super chats, and we'll just carry on with this, because I had fun with this versus that we did. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, recently there was a top 10 ATL hip hop albums list. Have you guys ever listed what guys feel are the top 10 ATL hip hop releases? I feel like we've talked about that, and I didn't see that list you're talking about. No, I don't think I came across that one. I'll say this, and this album celebrated its anniversary this week as well with Liquid Swords. If we talking hip hop, Kumana's number 1, and I think Soul Food by Goody Mob's number 2, and then Southern Playalistic, and then we can start talking about the rest.
So top 10 Atlanta albums?
Yeah.
Well, you have 4 Outkast solo albums and Soul Food, so that's 5 of the 10. I'm not joking. That's 5 of the 10.
It's real.
Yeah. You have 4 Outkast albums and you have Soul Food, so that's 5 of the 10. I would probably go lean on trap music after that.
Yeah, I was gonna go there after that. I'll
So
leave
that's
Stankonia
6.
out, man. You know,
We
I
can leave
don't.
Stankonia out, and okay, that's fine. I don't think
I want
that's
to be
true, Mike.
fair.
I'm Mike. I'm sorry. Like even for what you feel about Stankonia,
No,
there.
Stankonia is great, but I'm saying I want to think about it before I just throw Stankonia in there. Now,
Okay.
the first
Okay,
three definitely.
I'm Mike. It's just like, just I want you to think about this when you're throwing Stankonia out. On those 10 albums that you think are better, you're gonna have to show me Bombs Over Baghdad and So Fresh, So Clean.
No, I feel you.
So no, that's not happening
And
on
a
any
song as
Atlanta
big as
rap
Miss
album that you're about
Jackson.
to talk about.
Right.
Stankonia, like Stankonia's only low end when you're talking about Outkast catalog. It's high end at everything else, including like how about this? Even if it's 10, Mike, it's 10. It's probably 10. I
If
would
we
say
put
Future with
Stankonia
Dirty
up
Sprite.
against Thug Motivation 101, Stankonia is the better album.
Yeah, Stankonia is better than 101. What do you think about Dirty Sprite, Future?
It's very important.
I would put that in there.
Yeah.
My little sister's the one to get me to understand that shit was important.
It's important.
It is.
I think there is a case for, and I hate to be so loaded on specific artists, but I think there's a case for King as well, and maybe even
I was
Urban
actually
Legend.
thinking there might be another. No, I'm with King being in there. I was trying to think about which Luda album is the best album because it's back for the first time. Do you think that that's top 10?
Luda's a tricky situation, man, because there was not, and I'm gonna speak just for somebody who was in the city, shit, even in radio at that time. There's not a Luda album that just had the city on fire. And that's why I kind of paused on Stankonia too. And I get it from Stankonia being the quality. But if we start gauging it from what it meant to the city, now if we did that, then I would put Thug Motivation 101 over Stankonia.
If we talk about what it did for the city and like how the city took to it, then yeah. But if we talk about the quality of the albums, then no.
Yeah. So I guess we're having two different discussions there. We will have to think about that. We need to come with our list next. Not next episode.
Then we got to think about Thugs and Gunna's role in this too.
Yeah. Thug, Gunna's role in this. Future's role in this.
Oh, we just said Dirty Sprite. That would be the Future album, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something to think about.
There a 2 Chainz project worth throwing in the mix?
Might be, but again, we can't leave out stuff like Kilo's Organized Bass either.
I was actually thinking about remember PA's album?
Yeah. Which one?
The Parental Advisory one.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say My Life, Your Entertainment. I
wasn't as big on that.
That was the first album that T.I. showed up on.
I wasn't as big on that one as other people was, but I mean, I liked it. It was
Sundown
cool.
was great. Talk about the
people
record.
Are asking. I forgot, Mike. We have a following that is not in the United States. When we are saying we are pulling up for the station head live at midnight, that is Eastern Standard Time. Yes. We are in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, we're going on New York time here for Nas. D. Douglas with the super chat says Nas gives me vibes of Prince, Michael, Stevie, and the Beatles.
You want to know why that is? Because he's arguably going to be like, how many rappers going to have a greatest hits catalog in the 90s, the 2000s, the 10s, and the 20s?
Right.
That's very Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonders, Michael Jackson, Beatles, Bob Dylan type of territory. Yep. That's what I mean is it's like Mick Jagger. It's like, no. You need to start treating him media-wise. This is what this is all about. I even said this last week, Mike, even for us talking about all the streaming stuff, the streaming and the music and the information of how to do it is still the second story in all this. The number one story is still the media not treating him like Mick Jagger, Paul McCartney, David Bowie, Bob Dylan,
because
Prince,
the media, let's just be real, even though we have a lot of options.
He is that in this genre.
Right. Even though we have a lot of options out there, mainstream media still controls the public narrative for the most part. And if they were to treat Nas as they should, we wouldn't even have these issues. 36 Chambers.
If the media, hold on, Mike. If the media treated him the way that they were supposed to, Mike, we wouldn't even be sitting right here having this conversation because I would have never even got plugged up to the plug because he would already be getting the shit that he's already earned and deserved. That's what I'm saying. It's just the fact that we're here is like, I don't like it. I don't think people understand that. It's like, no, we can talk about the streaming and the music. No, the media and the slander is still the thing. And I want people to watch it and watch. Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, Mike. It's like, watch how many people don't promote it and then come up with these fucking mid-level reviews and then try to talk about Magic as if they lauded Magic when it came out.
Right.
We need to be the ones to be right here. It's like, oh, you motherfuckers were nowhere around when Magic came out.
We watching.
Be like, oh, you thought Magic was great? You should have fucking said it and posted it when it happened then.
Yeah.
Weak ass bitch. What's your favorite group say, Mike? Weak ass bitch.
When I say weak ass, you say bitch. 36. Right. 36 Chambers with the super chat says Hit Boy really deserves to be held higher in the greatest producer of all time conversation. His catalog is massive. He's worked with most of the greats, and this Nas run is one of the best ever. I agree with that. I think he has put in levels of work that I think that a lot of people aren't going to give him credit for that come from another era. I think the current era really recognizes what's going on, though.
Oh, Mike, when Mick Jagger showed up to the bar, he just went to the bar and grabbed the beer and went outside. Like, he didn't make a fuss about him being Mick Jagger. That's all it took. It took him walking into a building at a bar downtown, standing outside and having a beer. He was literally there for about an hour before people realized it was Mick Jagger. But, oh, Mike, when they realized it was Mick Jagger, the city was on fire. The entire city for my 40th birthday was on fire just because Mick Jagger walked into a bar and had a drink. Our Mick Jagger's dropping on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Kendall Outlaw.
Think about it. Like people admire how Mick Jagger has remained young through all these years and fresh and hip. Who's our Mick Jagger?
That's a good point.
Right. So he should be able to walk into a room and the shit should be on fire. It's like, oh, you know you know who that is, right? Like, that's how the shit's supposed to be with this media shit, Mike. It's supposed to be like, oh shit, Nas coming. Like, Nas.
It was for KD1, and then it just, for whatever reason. Kendall Outlaw says...
they thought they were sending him out the pasture, Mike. I'm telling you, they thought they were sending him out the pasture. They were like, let's just give him a nice little send-off.
Yeah.
We've had to deal with this for a long time anyway.
Kendall Outlaw with the super chat says, would love to get another Nas joint from the Trackmasters someday. What's the last thing the Trackmasters made in hip-hop? Like, I haven't heard a Trackmasters track in a minute, it feels like.
Now, I don't mean to castigate Trackmasters. I love Me the Message and Shootouts. Mm-hmm. But when people talk about 96 Nas, Mike, they're not talking about the message. They're not talking about Shootouts. They're talking about the dude that made I Gave You Power and Take It in Blood. They talking about that guy. Like, that's the guy specifically that they are referencing. Like, 96 Nas, it's like, no, the dude that made Take It in Blood and I Gave You Power, specifically those two records, and they did not produce those records.
Ones Bundy says, Jizza's verse deserved the quotable for that song. You know what? If we want to talk about just
quotables,
word for word, yes. But that flow that Meth came with, Mike, it was a scene stiller.
Mike, Liquid Swords is a hip-hop quotable. Have you heard Duel of the Iron, Mike?
Yeah. Bars.
They all got quotables on Duel of the Iron, Mike. Master Killer Deck and Jizza. Can I interest you in living in the world today? Unbalanced like elephants and ants on seesaws, Mike. No, there's hip-hop quotables all through. Liquid Swords is one big hip-hop quotable. The only man I hold wait for. Right. Yeah. Ghost. Like Ghost shit, Mike. RZA's shit. RZA's ending with the acronym. Protons, electrons always cause explosions. Peace.
Well, the quote I always love from that record is...
quotables all over Liquid Swords.
The quote I always loved from that record was, lively as if nothing ever surprised me, lounging between two pillars of ivory.
That's Killer Priest.
Killer Priest killed that shit.
Yeah, they all killed it. That's what I'm saying, Mike. Fourth Chamber.
So I didn't want to forget him.
Investigative Reports is a hip-hop quotable.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole album. The whole album is just on some like extremely high-level rap shit. Mike, we're going to talk about Liquid Swords in a minute because, let's talk about the...
Let me get through these super chats and we'll just jump into this versus thing that we did. Mad Max says, Meth talk different. Meth talks different than Biggie. Got that breath, that breathing thing that he do. I don't like Meth. I'm sorry. He says breathing thing that he do. I don't like Meth. You can put on any song, subgenre, it's fire. And Meth's style's more unique. I think he didn't like Biggie like that. Let's see where we at. The super chats, and then we'll move on. I think I saw another one because I know we covering a lot today. Antonio with the super chat says, I know I'm late on this, but Black Girl Lost Sample is a classic song from Stephanie Mills called Starlight. Yep, it is.
Just because you
That's
take
not a
a
bad
sample
beat.
from a
Y'all
classic
tripping.
song, don't make the beat hot.
He
I'm so
said it's
sick
not
of
a
niggas
bad
saying
beat. Y'all tripping. It's more nostalgic though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
just because you take a sample from a hot song doesn't make the beat dope. So hold on, my boy Andrew, who I do the Mirror Music podcast with. Listen, this is what I mean about how serious it is with Mick Jagger. Andrew just texted me. Thirsty Beaver was the Mick Jagger bar. That's right down the street from where I grew up. You see how serious it is and how quick Andrew got back to me? He knew exactly what moment I was talking about. He knew exactly what bar Mick Jagger was up, because when Mick Jagger was at the bar, the city was on fire. Now, why the fuck don't we treat our icons and idols this way?
we will now. You know what I mean? And we're
Damn
here to
right.
correct that.
Something got to change about this. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like, this shit needs to change.
I mean,
Starting with
we've
the
been
people.
talking about this in hip hop circles for decades, but now it's time to really change, because now
No,
people
it's time to really
people
change
get
it.
to
It's like,
actually
no.
talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? We get to actually talk to the public. The problem is, I think the blocker is the media. The mainstream media
Yes.
doesn't allow us to go out there and be able to treat our legends like this, but we're gonna change that.
Yeah. No,
Michael
but see,
Williams.
that's what I'm saying. The people can change that. You
Yeah.
can.
Michael
Yeah.
Williams with the super chat says, Coop, I don't necessarily disagree. I'm just curious to why you rate Alfredo higher than Daytona. Where does the separation occur?
Oh, I believe I have them rated comparably. Mike, did I put Alfredo ahead of Daytona? I probably.
I don't, but maybe
I don't think so. I think I have them. I mean, if I do, I have them like literally like one slightly ahead of the other. I'll tell you, Alfredo's longer, and that has something to do with it, but not longer by enough that I could even tell you that I prefer truly one over the other. They're seminal moments, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's peak Alchemist production, it's peak Ye production, it's both modern day classics in my opinion. Like I told you, it's like I'm cool with like Magic, Daytona, and Alfredo, and KD2, and probably Astro World or Victory Lap being my top 5 in this area. No, Pray for Paris. No, yeah, Pray for Paris, Alfredo, Daytona, Magic, KD2, Victory Lap, Astro World. Those are the modern day classics to me.
Okay.
I like those albums specifically. And so however you would want to mix and hosh posh those albums, I'm not going to argue with it about too much. So they all deserve comparable recognition. Magic is the one that sticks out for obvious reasons.
And, I would say From a King to a God, honorable mention.
That would be the next album right outside of all of those, Mike, because I did think about mentioning that one. I just do not think that some of the production is held up as well as it has on the other albums. So that would be the next one.
I'm with that.
So what I would probably say, like, for me on a personal level, because, let's go in order of who I, like, probably enjoy listening to the most. And who I listen to the most, it'd probably go Magic, Daytona, Alfredo, Pray for Paris. If we're talking about the order that I would listen to the artist, you know what I'm saying? Then Victory Lap, then Astro World, then From a King to a God. But like all comparable. From a King to a God is just a step below those records to me.
Daytona's my number one in all the ones you listed, to be honest.
Over Pray for Paris?
It is. The bar work, the song structure, the production, it's perfect.
I'm going to have to take Magic, Mike, because here's what I mean is like the breathtaking moments are obvious. Like Speechless is obvious. You know what I'm saying? 4016 Building is obvious. The Truth is obvious. But Mike, on those other records, like Ugly, Mike, like on Ugly, it's like, no, I'm like, this is the guy that's the greatest MC of all time because he can take a song out of a word and take it so many fucking beautiful places. He's like, it's like, that's that GOAT talk that I look for like on albums. And so what separates Magic for me is records like Ugly and Hollywood Gangster, where he says stuff like Bohemian Grove, they couldn't get Nas to visit. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, when he talks like that real fly and slick on record, like quick, I'm like, it's like, no, you can't fuck with that guy. And so I'm going to take Magic. I'm cool with taking Daytona after that. And then I'll probably take Alfredo and Pray for Paris at a tie.
Okay.
Because I think Pray for Paris is slightly better, but I prefer Alfredo, Mike. I do. Like, that's the shit that I listen to. Like 1985, Scotty Beam, baby shit. No, that's the shit that I listen to. You know what I'm saying?
I put I put Pray for Paris ahead of Alfredo. Me personally.
No. I get you. I think Pray for Paris is a better album. I just prefer to hear Alfredo, and I don't think it's a better album by much. And Gibbs is part of the reason why Pray for Paris, like his contribution on there is like notable and noted.
Definitely. Jay Short with the super chat says, "Is there any room on a Nas greatest hits for KD3 tracks? I don't think A2HH has done a Nas greatest hits before."
Well, this is what I mean. Is it like one of the things that I might actually create tomorrow before I go to work, Mike, is that I might actually do a Nas greatest hits playlist by like, decade. Yeah. As in like, the best stuff that he's done album wise in the 90s, and then the 2000s, and then 2010 to 2020, and then the stuff now. And then I might do another feature one, because if the thing is streams and he's the first person we're really getting behind, let's show the machine what we can do too by getting behind them all the way, not just with the streaming party, but with people thumping into our Spotify page to maybe play some of his best shit. I have a sick teenager upstairs, so I'm not going anywhere else tonight. So it's, we can she can help me pick out, she can listen to Nas and like, what I'm saying, eat chicken noodle soup and shit. You know what I'm saying?
There it is. And, well, okay. While we're getting out of here, or not getting out of here, we're getting to the next thing. I want to go ahead and just leave people with where to go. Mm-hmm. It's going to be stationhead.com /A2HH Live, or just download the Station Head app, right? And you'll be able to find A2HH Live on there. And we're going to have this listening party midnight. We're going to listen to this thing together. And we're going to go track to track.
All the people asking about like sending them a link to Spotify, it's like, we shouldn't have to send y'all a link to Spotify. It's like you literally just go to Spotify, download the app, subscribe, and type in according to hip hop. All of our stuff's going to come up that I've done, including older playlists that I have circulating. Like I think I got like an Outkast versus Tribe playlist circulating in there, Mike. I think we have a Nas and Jay playlist circulating in there already.
I think
matter of fact, we do, Mike, because it starts off with "The World Is Yours" and "Dead Presidents." I know
it does. I remember that.
So yeah, we already got stuff up there. So it's like, yeah, but I'll start working on some playlists tonight, Mike. You know what I'm saying? All right. I told you the features are the fun part of going through Nas's catalog, Mike. And I realized something else too. The 95 feature run that he's so lauded for, that was Illmatic not selling. He's on the Infamous and on the Purple Tape for a reason. You know, the Infamous and the Purple Tape outsold Illmatic, right?
It did.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's get to the next thing. Ray Realms with the super chat says that recent Grammy pick dashed all my dreams of Jay/Nas collabo album. The male ego is a fragile entity. Do you think Jay will one up the KD series? I mean, just as a hip hop listener, I would love to hear that happen. But just based on, in my personal opinion, based on Holy Grail 444 and, Blueprint 3 being all the way back in 2009, I don't see that happening. I don't. It's like you asking me, I'm not going to be disrespectful, but I was just going to say, if you ask me, do I see LeBron James winning a championship with the Lakers this year, I would hope it happens. But I don't see it happening.